Hello, and welcome to the TV room. David Bradley here. So I have in front of me, I know I've been tinkering on disk drives endlessly. I have in front of me this 1571 drive, and instead of putting a note that probably gets off, no read write. I'm just going to write on here. No read write parts. Could it be parts? There's all kinds of things on here that could be helpful for parts. There are. Anyway, I have not had any success with this. And I don't know what else to do. So there it is. The disk drive from a 1571. There's actually, look, there's mounting stuff. I'm sure, anyway. It may come in handy for something sometime, somewhere, if ever I can figure out the turn thing that I fouled up. Anyway, today, as they say, or they have said at some times, and now over something completely different. All right. Now, just a moment. Oh. This is not that heavy. It's just awkward. So here we have a box. It's a VIC-20. The friendly computer, as they say. And actually the box, the sleeve that this came in is just falling apart, leaving us with the styrofoam. And there it is, a VIC-20. It's funny, it's got a number written on the end. I wonder, is it the original packing for this? Not that it makes a tremendous difference. I'm just trying to get at this without hurting anything underneath. Is this the original packing? Oh, yes it is. How exciting. All right. This can go away, and this sleeve can also go away. Does it have any serial number stuff in it? I don't think so. Anyway, as you can see, the sleeve is not really a sleeve anymore. It's more like a tablecloth. It is. Anyway, it's part of the thing, so I will set it aside. Anyway, as I always say, over and over and over, I try very hard not to get more things of the Commodore variety. But this one, I looked at it in the ad, and I thought, boy, that looks like an original PET keyboard. Now, people get confused. There, I'll hold it up closer. The PET keyboard ones does not mean the keyboard will work on the PET. It does not mean that at all. What it means is, when they were making the PET, way back when, and then they started on the VIC-20, the keys and the internals of the keys are the same as the PET. So if in fact you have an old VIC-20 that's not working, and you have a PET that's not working, you could, although the colors don't match, you could steal a key. But certainly the internal parts you can make use of. Or if you had a PET and you had a VIC-20 that needed something, because, things happen. So this does have, and you can tell by the sound, that is the sound. See this? Hang on, this is the sound. of, well, that's a 64, but that's kind of the same keyboard that the VIC-20 had. This is the sound that a pet makes. So I saw this and I thought, gee, and the pictures weren't great, but I thought, I think that is. Now, it didn't have a power supply. It didn't have, well, it certainly hadn't been tested. But I thought, well, you know. Anyway, so I had it at the World of Commodore. Hello. Which is the first time I actually looked at it. There. There is the keyboard. Da, 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 da. There it is. Anyway, I will be careful because it's in pretty fine shape. I had it at the World of Commodore. As I say, I took it there and said, well, if I have time, I'll open this up and have a look. And what I found was something that I had never seen before. You see, from what I knew of these things, there were two versions, essentially, of the board for the VIC-20. One of them had the two-prong, such as this one, the two-prong. Let's see if we can get, you can see that, the two-prong power supply. The other had the one like the 64. And both of them had little enclosures over the VIC chip. They did. Anyway, so I opened this one up and I said, what is this thing? Now I'm going to do another thing where I'm going to do a close-up examination of this. But here is the board that was in this VIC-20. And it does say that it was made in Japan. It is serial number 510822. Many people at the World of Commodore show, put on by the Toronto Pet Users Group, came and looked at this, and most had never seen such a thing. There was one fellow, though. He did come over and said, oh, look at that. And he had pictures on his phone. He apparently has one like this and had extensive pictures. He did. And decided that, in fact, the serial number on mine was a little bit lower than the one on his. So, and also there's a thing on here that says produced 6/81. I don't think I need to translate that. Anyway, you know, I hate when people do PowerPoint presentations and their whole presentation is, here's a slide on the screen and you can look at it, but I'm just going to say what it says. I'm going to do the whole thing word for word. You're like, gee, we could have just stayed home and read this. Anyway, so I'm sure you understand what produced in 681 means. So, all the chips have these little stickers on them. The microphone. This is not going well. Anyway, they have these little stickers on them that essentially, well, they look Japanese and they essentially say, okay, sort of, kind of. And there is no enclosure for the 6560 chip. And there's a little thing next to it that's kind of mounted strangely. Anyway, I'm going to do another video where I really zoom in on things in here. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when I tried this at the World of Commodore, it did not work. And then I got wrapped up in other things, and I really didn't have a chance to try it anymore. And so I didn't. One thing I see, which will make no difference to whether it works or not, I'm just looking here, and certainly the cassette port has seen a lot of life, and it is rather filthy. So I'm just taking not a magic eraser, but an eraser, and it may be. So I keep pencils around not because I write with them, but because they have erasers on the end. That I might use them to shine things up. But this one, if you notice, is getting rather short. So I really can't get at that as well as I might. Now I can get at some of everything on the user port, but I really can't get right out to the end like I would like to because the rubber of the eraser, there just isn't quite enough of it. Anyway, this should help. It should help. But it's not going to make the machine work as opposed to not working. It just isn't. Oh, and for those that are interested, here is the bottom, and there is the serial number and the sticker. So it has, as I say, on all the main chips, it has these little OK stickers, which is good and bad because, of course, ultimately, depending on what's bad, probably that sticker is not going to be on there anymore because I'm sure there is a chip or so that is bad. Hopefully not bunches and bunches of them. Anyway, the machine itself, I mean, it looks pretty fine. It does. The board looks to be pretty fine. The machine is remarkably not terribly discolored. It could use, oh, here's where this comes in handy, this brush thing. In these ridges, in the top of all Commodore machines, you will get dust. You just will. So, a brush like this, or a toothbrush, this is just basically a bigger than average toothbrush, will help get all of this out of here. And there's also the little ridge right around the keyboard. And stuff undoubtedly will get in there as well. And maybe this kind of brushing without other interventions may get a lot of that out of there. It might. It might. And sometimes it just doesn't. Like I'm just trying to get the bristles in right down here. And, well, it's some better. Certainly it did better on these things are wider and you can get in better. These ones down here around the keyboard, oh, that went pretty well, are quite a bit thinner. Just going to try and use them right down at the end here. I guess it depends. Anyway, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty fine. And it's an old PET keyboard. So I will have to explore this more, and I will soon set up and do like an overhead thing and slide around to look at the board for people to see. But I've been doing this a long time, and I had never seen this before. I had no clue it existed, and I just was like, what up with that? Anyway, I'm sure it must be early. At least I think it is. And if you know anything about these, don't hesitate to let me know what you know, because I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I will have to, of course, at some point, make sure I have a good working VIC-20 power supply with the two-prong variety, which, of course, I don't have right here. And I will make sure I have another VIC-20 that works, so that then I can see what's what. And maybe get this working. I would hate to think such a lovely example would end up being a part machine, especially with its unique board. I would hate to think that. Or that I would have to put another board in it, because this is unique. It is rare. And is it perfectly white? Very much so. I wouldn't be adverse to trying. I don't do the retro brighting, but I do, and I have put things out in the sun. Mind you, it's kind of winter. But recently I did put a couple things in a window to see if that would make any difference. But we haven't had a whole lot of sun. But as they say, you can even get burned on a cloudy day. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see. I remember, I have memories of lying in bed. This is after we had a pet and such, and my mother, who learned to type on a manual typewriter, as did I. I would wake up and hear this well, it almost sounded like gunfire. Because you see, with manual typewriters way back when, I mean, the force, may the force be with you, you had to hit the keys hard or they didn't hit well. So, of course, and she was an excellent typist, she still is. So here it is. I'm lying there asleep and the computer's in my room. And then I wake up and she's typing something and it's just like, oh my word. And of course, I mean, she's been typing for decades at that point, many more decades now, and, used to having to really nail the keys. Because, of course, even when I learned to type, we used manual typewriters. There were no letters on the keys, and there was a whole lot of swearing going on. And then came the IBM Selectric, as well as other electrics, where really you could just give them a little tap and it was fine. And the little ball went and hit. It was beautiful. Anyway, I remember this noise, except louder, waking me up. I'm going, oh no, she's typing again. Anyway, so I will continue to explore this VIC-20, and I will make sure to hold on to the original packaging, including the sleeve, which is now, as I say, more like a tablecloth. Anyway, so stay tuned. There'll be more to see with this machine soon. When? I'm not sure, but stay tuned. And until then, have a lovely day. And if you went to the world of Commodore, I hope it went well. And if you didn't, maybe we'll see you next year. But there are other online meetings that go on. So check the website, check the Facebook page, I guess there's a Discord thing, and I'm really not into the Discord thing. Maybe I should be. Anyway, thanks for being here. Have a lovely day. Bye for now.